or whatever the chart is saying or some R&B guy. Cause like that's not me. Like you see my video yet?
The lap dance video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's who I am. Shit has nothing to do with shooting guns, and it really doesn't have anything to do with a bar mitzvah. You know what I'm saying?
Shooting guns or bar mitzvah?
No disrespect. I'm just saying.
Yeah. No. No disrespect.
Like that.
I mean, from one extreme to the next. You know what
I
I mean?
mean?
Like we're suburbians, man. At the end of the day, you know what I mean?
One extreme to the next.
Yeah. But that's what I was going to ask you.
Huh?
5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Oh, just tell them, come on, let's just do it now.
Is it here? Okay.
Yeah. Real quick, Mike. Let me do this one.
Oh, okay.
Let's continue to kick it or whatever. I'm about to do an interview for some magazine, but
do what you gotta do.
Like,
because actually I was gonna ask you the video, and I didn't get a chance to ask you like when you showed it to me last time. And we did that interview was about BMX. Like that was because then I was like, because that's like the thing. Like people never think about like they think like someone is into hip hop or a producer of hip hop or like make beats or whatever. They don't like think like they're gonna be into BMX. You know what I mean? Like how people pigeonhole or categorize people, and I was curious like if that was like a big part of like you growing up or whatever, like BMX or wasn't, or it's just something you did for like
no, that's what I always did as a kid. So this is how it happened, man. When I was young, I pretty much was always over my grandmother's house, and my aunt would always play all these like records, you know what I'm saying, from Stevie to Diana Ross to Michael, you know what I'm saying. I was raised to think that Michael was the king, and he is and was. So at the end of the day, it's like when I turned like 7 or 8, that's when my pops finally married my mother, and when he married my mom, my grandmother sort of lived there like in the projects. So we moved away from there. We moved to like the suburban part of America, you know what I mean, or Virginia Beach, and that's when I started listening to like, I wasn't buying the CDs and nothing, but like all my little white girlfriends, they'd be listening to Heart and shit like that. Hello? Yo, I'm doing an interview, man. Can I call you right back? This your new number? Okay. Done. So, hey man, please, come meet Mike D.
Hi.
Miss you?
Yeah, man. What's up?
Nice to meet you. How you doing?
It's a cool dog.
Thank you.
Yeah, good.
Oh.
My dog's about to get dropped off, but he's big.
What kind of dog you got?
He's a puppy, but he's a Rhodesian Ridgeback.
Nice.
I guess I should say
I try to get him to get that.
They're
Zimbabwean
Yeah, exactly. But they're
Ridgeback.
They're beautiful.
Yeah, he's sweet.
Nice. Hey, everybody.
So, moved back to we were like living in this like suburbs and shit. All my little white girlfriends would listen to like, and that part was like hard and that's a song, right? These dreams are that's what I was listening to that shit,
Okay.
right? And it
Top
was like
that's
Debbie.
like 80. When is that? 70, 80s?
No, that's 80s. That's like early 80s.
That's like 80s.
It's like 80s.
Yeah,
That's like early 80s.
Big, like the hard.
Then there was the Debbie Gibsons, and they were going through all
So
that.
a lot of
shit.
mall rock.
Yep, mall rock.
Yeah, that teeny bopper shit. So like, no disrespect, because that shit made money. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, and it influenced a lot of girls. But at that time, like, me personally, I was just riding bikes with my buddies and shit, and I missed out on it. So when I came back around, like when we started to go back around my grandmother's house a lot, the music that they were, and all I really heard was like that music, because like my mom and dad had problems when they moved out there. So I was outside a lot, hanging out a lot, and I never really got the home thing. And I started listening to a lot of church music, because we also went to church every Sunday. And then so like my mom played a lot of Christian music, because like things were going wrong in the house. So I didn't really have too much of what was going on the station. And then when I came back around to my grandmother's house to hang out, in the summertime, like every day, like 5 o'clock, whatever, we go over there. They had like a rap station that was AM 850, WRIP out in Norfolk, and that was like the shit. And they play all these records, and they had a guy named Tony T. And this guy named Schoolie D, and it was Busy B, and all these guys, and I just didn't know what the hell was going on. And then there was like all those like real novelty songs, like the Pee Wee Herman, but that was later. But then there was like
Rappin' Duke was big in Virginia.
Yeah. Duh.
Yeah.
And then like so that shit started blowing up, right? That and the a little bit before that, the dum 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 dum.
Oh, Nucleus, Jam on it.
That kind of shit started coming out.
So
So
I saw Nucleus Fresh Fest in Philly. They were like huge, like you know what I mean. Like people were that record was such a big.
no,
like,
yeah,
like,
that record was so big in Virginia, like it was huge, and then you just see people dancing and popping. So I started breaking and popping and shit and trying to hang out and trying to do some all that. And that's when Planet Rock was the shit, but it was the shit. And in Virginia, Planet Rock was the shit for like about 4 years straight. That with all kinds of spin-off beats like As the Beat Goes On, As the Beat Goes On. That and there's like one other record. So that's what was going on at that point, right? So then, like, you know, they were breaking and popping, but that shit was kind of slowly but surely being flushed out by Send It Back in 30. Hey, all that kind of shit was coming. So Run DMC was the shit, right? And then one day it hit me. La-di-da-di. La-di-da-di. And that's when I started trying to rap. And I never stopped riding bikes. I was just bringing that shit to school, hanging out with my white friends and shit, and they were liking that shit, loving it. So I was actually introducing
So you were
it to
bringing like hip hop into like with your BMX friends or whatever. You were like playing mixtapes or like tapes from like.
Well, we didn't have that.
W
We would just tape it off of the radio.
Yeah, you just tape. Like,
Yeah.
was it, so
I mean, it was cheesy too. Like the song would be cut off, and somebody else's song would start in the middle of the first verse or some shit. One of those things. I was young, so I don't know, man. That's like how it was. And then like back and forth as I started getting older, I started having like all kinds of friends, and I never really let go of the things that I learned from each area. You know what I mean? Like how to jump a bike. Like when I was in the hood, see in the hood it was like, which wasn't really the hood in Virginia Beach. It ain't really the hood, but like in the hood, when you got a bike for Christmas, and you got one on your birthday. So everybody had like 4 and 5 bikes in the hood, and you had new sneakers. You know how it is. You know what I mean? But like at the end of the day, it was cool. Christmas Day, all you wanted to do was wake up, get your new bike, go outside, and we would do like a convoy. And you see like 40 or 50 bikes or young kids around the neighborhood riding up and around the corners, playing follow leader and shit like that. And we would have wheelie contests, and we would just do wheelies from like telephone pole to telephone pole, shit like that. That was my life. But when I went to like that suburban part of Virginia Beach and grew up like in the 6th grade and shit, it was about jumping tracks and jumping speed bumps and catching air and shit like that. And then I started skating in the 7th grade. And that's when I met my partner Chad. So what was the question?
So I don't know. I just asked about the BMX thing. You ever watch Matt Hoffman? BMX. Right. He does like
on
crazy.
extreme
He's
games
got
and shit like that.
yeah. He's like kind of like a plastic man at this point. Like he's got like they had to replace like I forget like he had to replace like his spleen, his.
She had like hundreds of bones broken.
50,
Yeah,
like,
he's had like
injuries. Evil Knievel
like
at
hundreds
BMX.
of surgery.
Really?
type things.
He's so ill.
I heard that name before.
He gets pulled
He's-
behind like motorcycles and then like hits jumps and shit.
Yeah,
to
he
get more
wanted to do
speed.
this thing, like it's not supposed to divulge a secret. He actually just faxed it like over to my wife. This whole drawing where he wants to go to Snake River Canyon, and he wants to have like a ramp that's like it like
So ill.
goes like, you know, like so deep, like it gets him up to like 70 miles an hour, that he launches off of it, then does I forget like however many flips, like however many rotations on his bike, and then he pulls a parachute and it lands.
Shit.
He has this whole like.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
He's crazy.
He's taking it to like a whole different.
Another level.
level of.
I like catching air, man, but I like landing it too.
Yeah.
I like falling, man.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I don't know, man. BMX is just fun, man. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
I'm rusty as shit, but
Yeah.
I still have a bike. I just got a bike like about 2 years ago, and I haven't had time to ride it because we've been working so hard. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny. Like actually, this kid Spike, who makes all our videos, or
Spike
made.
Jones? Listen,
Spike
man,
Jones.
can you hook me up with him, man?
Yeah, he's busy right now. I know you, but he's working right now because he's doing a film. He's directing a film that's just about to start in like 2 weeks or something. This is like really bugged out movie called Adaptation.
Wow.
But anyway, that's what he came from, like this whole BMX. Like he grew up like BMX and working in the BMX store. That he used to shoot like stills for BMX magazines, like all these. He was just this little kid, like a little high voice. Spike used to talk like Mike Tyson.
Oh, the high lisp.
I seen a video of that.
Yeah, in fact, he'd answer the phone in Maryland, where he's from, at Rockville BMX, and he asked the phone, he'd be like, "Hi, I can't even imitate it, but he'd be like, Rockville BMX," and everyone thought he was like a girl that worked there, like, yeah, this high. Anyway.
Now I was saying because I know that he know how to shoot what I want to do.
Mhm.
It's so hard for me to get it across to people, like
Yeah, it's hard.
how we want to be perceived, and he's from that culture.
Yeah.
I think he'd be an ill director. I think Terry Richardson be an ill director, and I think if Harmony Korine was interested, I think he'd fucking make an ill fucking N.E.R.D video. That's my shit.
You probably do it. You should talk. You do it. You talk to him, Harmony.
Yeah, but everyone always says like you know,
He is crazy. No disrespect, Harvey, because I know him, and I know you, and I will say it to your face, you are crazy. He is crazy. You're crazy, Harmony.
The only thing that scares me, he did that crazy in Gummo.
Gummo is crazy.
He's like kissing on that
I couldn't, yeah, Gummo I couldn't really watch. It was hard for me. Gummo was rough.
Ill. Straight ill.
You saw that? Did you like the film?
I thought it was a little too.
I love the film, but
I thought
just
it was
couldn't.
really bugged
Like,
out.
how do you play that part kissing that little midget like that dude?
He
That-
caressed.
I
the
can't
midget.
watch that movie all in one sitting.
He
Yeah.
caressed
It's like
the
you gotta
midget.
like take
He
it
held
piece
him-
by
he
piece.
held
Oh, yeah, he didn't kiss him. Okay,
He caressed the
sorry.
midget.
He didn't kiss him. He was
fondled
feeling
the
him. But
midget.
either way, I couldn't
Yeah.
do that
Fondled the
shit.
midget. The little person. He did.
Yeah, that was fucked.
That was kind of crazy, dude.
Sorry.
But either way, it's all good. But either way, the way he shoots is fucking the truth, man. That's how I try to write, and that's how I make my beats. I try to make the truth real clean, and I think people are gravitating toward it because they're sick of being fucking toyed with, man. At the end of the day, like people are sick of fucking being entertained. They want to be entertained, but they don't want to be falsely entertained with all the additives. They want the pure and heart. You know what I mean? They want to see life. That's why all this. That's like the real world. That's why the real world blew up. That's why Survivor blew up. That's why the fucking cop stories blow up. Because you know what? At the end of the day, those things get better ratings than what the writers write for like those different stations to put together miniseries and shit like that. I don't give a fuck how big the star is. People want to see the real. We've been bullshitted for so long by things that I mean, like, and I'm a science fiction fiend, but like at the end of the day, that's not what I mean at all. I mean, it's just like you got to be kind of real. You know what I mean? Like, be real. And there's not a lot of stuff out there that you can really classify as being real. But I'm not judging no one else's work because I'm a big admirer of a lot of things that's on the radio. So it's just like it's just certain.
No, I know
things
what you
that-
mean. It's like I like a lot of stuff that's on radio too, but then like after driving, for instance, like people ask us like, "Oh, what do you do to how are you marketing this record, all this stuff?" It's like whatever's happened has happened because it's real. You know what I mean? So it's because it's different than everything else that's like on the radio. That's why people respond to it because they actually gravitate towards something that's actually providing them with like. The band means it, you know what I mean? They're like they're totally convicted, totally convinced in what they're saying. They're not just like making this compromise or that compromise. You know what I mean? It's a totally uncompromising thing. I don't know, but that's like one thing. Like I don't know what happened. That's what my like get back to like what you were saying. Like how like late 60s, like to early 70s, like 1974 was like this, maybe a little later, like there were exceptions, but like somehow the groove changed. Like, I don't know if it was disco or like what happened, but like, you know how like you could just go through like all those great records like Donny Hathaway, The Ghetto, all the Stevie Wonder like soul albums, all like I mean like even like all like the albums that came out like the Beatles made after the Beatles broke up, like the John Lennon solo album or like the George Harrison like All Things Must Pass, like all the Steely Dan records from like around that time, like
Ridiculous.
there's this whole, you know, not to mention like whatever Parliament Funkadelic was doing at that time. Like Sly Stone probably still made like Fresh around that time. Like there's still like, you know what I mean, so much shit like from that time. But then like it kind of the groove just changed and got like faker or something after like I don't know what happened. I guess until punk rock was real.
You know, a
and
lot
then
of people.
hip hop was like next.
A lot of people used music as their escape back in those days too. You know, people sang around their houses a whole lot more. People listen to records a whole lot more. Parents are so busy working these days; they don't play that much music in their houses. And only the middle Americans.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Only middle Americans.
Sure, it used to be like people would just always have the radio on or music
Hell
playing
yeah.
around the house.
Hell yeah! Only the middle Americans and like the lower class play music in their homes because we have that. They still have that ethic, man, of knowing like at the end of the day, you gotta feed and fuel your children because they're the future. And I don't think many people pay attention to that enough. You know, like I think, like people always want to know like what's the Neptune formula, man. It is the Neptune creed, not formula, is just to struggle for betterment, period, all the way around. And we do things that seem contradictory, but they're always subliminally laced with like great messages. Like lap dance really seems to be objectifying women, but if you really listen to what's being said, you don't hear anything about tits or ass in that entire song. A song is about like changing, or actually analyzing the mentalities of like our youth. Like, I'm an outlaw, quick on the draw, something you never seen before. I am the dare motherfucker to come in my face. And you know how many kids walk around with that mentality? It's because, you know, politicians are like strippers, man. They do and say anything for money at the end of the day. And that's why we showed what we showed. But the scientific reason as to why we showed what we showed is because at the end of the day, you know, whatever your children are doing when they're not watching our video, because that's not what they're going to see. They're not going to see the tits and ass. They're going to see the MTV version, more than likely. If you're good parents and you got blocks on your internet and blocks on your TV, if you're good parents, they won't see that. With parental guidance, they should see our videos. And when you're asking your daughter to wash the dishes and you're asking your son to go mow the lawn, when he's singing back whatever it is that I sing to him, he's going to be saying, you know, it's so real how I feel. It's a society that make a nigga want to kill. Or just straight ill, riding his motorcycle down the street while the government sound like strippers to me. And I don't even want to hear it. Like, at the end of the day, I did my job. That's what's important to me. Like, I mean, I noticed how you guys made this real big, like, conscious turnaround. And it's not that your music was ever
but
really...
it's not even like a turnaround to me. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Your music was never really negative,
right?
But you just wanted to speak for
but I wanted to
whatever.
speak up and just feel like...
Make it completely
clear.
clear.
Because I became like, I would see like the effect that we would have on people, like, you know, when you put like something out there and then, you know, people come up to you and say, oh, dude, listen to your music, I did this and that. And then you see how it affects people, so you realize like, oh, okay, it really, like, it counts, you know what I mean? Every action, you know what I mean? Even like down to like our thoughts, down to, you know what I mean? It's like we gotta constantly like be trying to like be really clear about even just what we're thinking.
Yeah.
Because even those thoughts, like, you know what I mean, we're all caught up in some whole negativity in terms of our thoughts. That's affecting the world, even if it doesn't manifest. You know what I mean? It's like, so I don't know. We just became aware and just wanted to, you know what I mean? Like the most powerful thing you can do is like, is like change, but change in front of people to show people that's what life is. You know what I mean? It's like growing, changing. That's what we do.
Pardon me, I just really gotta get something out real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just
Sign
sign this and just put your line real quick.
No doubt. All the Def Jam?
Soundtrack.
Oh.
I'm gonna email Blaze and send him no remix. Sorry, remix. Sorry. What track?
Blaze James.
What track?
There. Well, here, just two things I wanted to touch on. Wait, I'm trying to remember now. Oh, wait, musically, that's what, because I never got to ask this when you were with Chad, when you were talking about, like, when you guys started, like, actually making beats, getting together, producing, like, were you around, like, when Teddy Riley was doing, like, Rum Shaker and all that stuff?
I wrote Teddy's verse.
No way. So that's what I was curious, like, you were in the studio, like, helping out with those beats or whatever like that.
Well, he wasn't really letting us, do anything with the production.
Uh-huh.
Because that was his song. He didn't really need us for that.
Uh-huh.
So we gave us a shot at Blackstreet's album. We did a song called Tonight's the Night.
So that was, like, the first Neptunes. Were you calling Neptunes in yet? Or-
Yeah.
That was the
Neptunes.
first Neptunes production. But you were around, like, when he was making all, like Rex and Effect and
Right there.
Guy and or after Guy.
No, we weren't around for Guy. The second Guy album was just finished, and we never really, when he came back off tour, that's when he started working with Rex and Effect.
No, he made noise. All I want to do is zoom, 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 zoom.
That was big, right?
And the remix was hot.
Yeah.
Oh, that. Wow. And then what was the other? Wait, what was it? Oh, that's why I want actually production, just like technical questions now. Like, all right, like mystical, like danger, right? That's your track. Like that song. I'm kind of like was just obsessing with like the music on it, cause like I know it's like, all right, you got that ill like the kunga like kind of intro, and I know you probably like program like everything's programmed, right?
Yeah.
But and then you have like the thing is like it's almost like the main musical element is like that guitar. It's almost like it sounds like a strum guitar.
Uh-huh.
But then it's like then I don't know if you're using the weird like I was just curious how that all. It just bugs me out because like the elements to me are like very like acoustic sounding, but like I know you program it. You know what I mean? Like it kind of tripped me out. Like I just.
Well, we like for shit to sound real.
I mean, it's just aside from it just being like a great sounding song, but like
Uh-huh.
it has these, and I don't know why it's just it has those elements where it's like, I think you kind of like took the technology and put it to like a state of realness that like other people haven't really been able to touch on.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? Like it's like, I don't know.
Appreciate that.
Okay.
You're asking me something else?
Yeah, I don't know really how to say it as a question, but I was just curious like how
like
you
it all manifests is what I want to know. Like that's like I heard it just so many different sounds like from all over the place. It's like how you put all those sounds into one track. It's just crazy. I mean, they were
Or like did he like how did it come about? Did you hear like some of his verses and then you wrote it, or you just had that track?
Yeah, the
wow.
track.
And then you must have been were you dying when he came in and you were like screaming and saying it's a hit? But you know,
Basically,
when I say it's a hit, bitch, that's what it is. Like,
yeah,
like I would have been falling on the floor dying,
yeah,
like laughing in a good way, like
Yeah.
he was like
yeah.
saying that
Well,
like, over like a track.
He gives us the room to like come up with concept. Most everybody does though. They come to us for hooks as well as the music. So usually when you buy a Neptune beat, you get the hook as well because we look at that as just another instrument. That whatever that melody is, it's vital.
Mhm.
Sometimes the track can be hot, but somebody can have a whack ass chorus and fuck
So-
the whole song up.
So like you gave him danger. So you gave him danger, or as a hook.
Yeah. I don't like to talk about
Right,
creative shit
okay,
like
I
that.
don't
'Cause sometimes
mean- yeah,
artists
right.
get offended, and then
Yeah.
they feel like, then people ask them like they
We'll
can't
cut that
do it on
part,
their
yeah.
own or
Right,
whatever.
right,
And
yeah.
Mystical clearly can do it on his own.
Yeah.
He fucking has a billion albums with him doing it on his own. It's just that we came up with like the hooks for the songs that we did with him. But most of the shit we come up with hooks for.
Wow.
Unless the artist is fucking, unless they're like adamant about it. And that's not to say that if you come up with your own hook, you're not gonna get a hit. We don't even be thinking about hits, man. We're thankful that we get them, but we really just want to have those infectious special records. It'll be interesting to see how this turns out because there's a lot of Neptune song going out pretty soon, all at once. So it's going to be interesting to see how different they are. In my opinion, they are, but of course,
Right.
I'm supposed to say that. But I think that in our good judgment, the records are all unique. So you should be, I don't know, radio should be pretty interesting coming up pretty soon.
Hopefully, that's what I think is, to me, that's part of the, like, what's cool about you come in here and it's like you're doing
It's cool, don't worry.
like
Mike D
police.
picked up my phone.
I touched it. Like you doing police in here, then No Doubt there, and I don't know what else. You got Janet or something.
Ray J, we just finished Janet.
Mhm.
We did Babyface.
Really?
And we did N.E.R.D.
Wow.
Babyface's songs, surprisingly enough.
No, what do you mean surprised? I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised for him to make something incredible. Would you?
No, he's dope. I'm just saying, he's like a big pop guy. At the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
he's
he's like
a fireplace pop guy.
Right, but he's like a pop you know what I mean? He's a like, you know what I mean? If there's like a grandmaster like chess player,
Yeah.
he's like a grandmaster of writing like a pop song. You know what I mean? Like,
He's dope, man.
you know what I
I
mean?
look
For
up
like
to him.
for our day in a way, he's probably like whatever, like Barrett and Strong, or like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, it's hard. Like, I don't necessarily react to his records like as emotionally as I might to like. But you know what I mean? Like he's like someone from like that era, like I don't know, like Ashford and Simpson or something like that writes big pop
They wrote a lot of big shit.
songs. I don't know.
Ashford and
So you work with him and you do the track and he's sang. Don't tell me you gave Babyface a hook.
Wow.
That's big.
That's
But he
huge.
gives you the room to do that, though.
He does.
That's true because he knows if he's gonna work with you,
That's
he
dope.
wants to do it.
He gives
Wow.
you the room. He gives you the room. Not a lot of people give you the fucking room. But he was amazing to work with, man. That guy is like, he's smart, he's intuitive, he's a great compass.
It's great, man.
And I learned a lot from him.
And he plays so, or he just came in just sang and
He came in and sang.
Huh.
See, shit like this that's a touch. This
yeah,
is
no,
a
it's
very
touchy. I don't
touchy
want
issue.
to.
Not for us, but just artists, just like, you know what I mean?
I know
Like
what you
sometimes they wig out, but he's not going to because he has no ego at all.
Mhm.
Surprisingly enough, and he's an Aries to the heart. Like me, I'm an Aries, and I get offended because I'm still young and stupid because I feel like I have to prove myself. But I think when I touch the brink of mastering it within myself, I won't give a fuck what someone thinks. I'll be able to deal with a situation and walk away from it, knowing that someone else could have a completely different perspective of what happened, and it could have been horrible in their eyes. And you got to have that in you. And I'm just a young Aries. I'm a young fire sign. I'm on fire.
Yeah, but whatever. But musicians, we always get.
Overprotective of your image.
But we get
and your
caught
credit.
up in that though. Anyway, even not an image. Like it's like, whatever. Like, we can play a show and like, whatever. Everybody that saw our show, whatever, 18,000 people think like, oh, that was a great show, whatever, and we'll just be mad as we'll walk away, just angry, because we fucked this up and that up, and like there are all these things we heard that other people didn't hear, and like, you know what I mean, or this maybe like something like technically you fucked up or whatever. You know how it is, just like there's shit that you just get angry about, but when you put it in the context of like a bigger thing, it's not. It's whatever, but I don't know that you ever get. It's always like that. I like to grow out of it, but I don't think I have yet. So it's not even just a y'all thing. It's not just a young thing. It's not a young thing. It's not a white thing. It's not a black thing.
It's a green thing? No.
It's not a green thing either.
That was
All right.
So
Well, I think that was all our interview
we
bullshit.
got the
right?
ODB stuff,
Our
right?
things.
ODB. Yeah, we got
Yeah.
everything.
Oh, we didn't get any ODB. Actually, I had to ask you about ODB in the studio. And I know it's a touchy subject.
You did ask me.
Yeah, I asked you. Do we go into the?
Yeah.
A little
Yeah,
bit,
you got your money.
A little bit, yeah.
And then okay, so
We
we're
covered
good then.
everything.
But what else you want to talk about? Let's change the world, y'all. Let's change the world.
Change the world.
Let's
Is good.
spread love. Let's not be fucking.
But see, how is that gonna happen? Like, how can we all like? How can
I'm doing
everybody
it. I'm doing it.
collectively?
Now-
See, that's my thing. It's like to me, like I like to get. like I know everyone has different views on it. Like some people feel like where I'm just gonna make my pure thing and I don't care if it reaches people. There's other people who want to reach a lot of people, but I kind of feel like you know what, like I want to try and like do something that's positive, and then if we're doing something positive, yeah, hell, you know, may as well reach a lot of people with it, because otherwise, how are we gonna change shit if we're? It's gonna be a lot harder if we're only reaching like.
Well, you gotta do it.
Amount.
You gotta do it in music, man. I'm telling you right now, music speaks to people. Number one, no matter what language they speak, and number two, music subliminally and subconsciously touches people in ways that they don't even fucking know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It opens your mind. Now, if you ever listen to anything Timothy Leary says, man, about like how LSD opens your mind, I think music is a natural hallucinogen. If you allow yourself to be taken away by music, it will open your mind. It will change your perspectives. You know what I mean? And
Well, music is a straight up like cellular altering. You know what I mean? It's a fact. You know, music alters matter. You know what I mean? Straight up like atoms, particles, whatever. I'm not the best
Ross
Physics-
Robinson will tell you.
like physicist type. You know, I'm not like
neither am I.
who's the guy in the wheelchair.
Neither am I. And neither do
Actually,
I.
I'm not
neither do I
giving
make my
question,
music
but who's the
education.
guy? The guy in the wheelchair, the scientist guy.
I know the guy.
Who's got like the
he wrote
voice.
that.
Stephen Hawking.
Yeah.
You know, yep.
I'm no Stephen Hawking, but like no, but seriously, the music is actually fundamentally like matter altering. You know what I mean? That's why it has. Before there was word, there was sound. You know, music like pre-exists, supersedes all, basically.
Always will.
You know what I mean? It's whatever the primordial, like, you know what I mean, essence is music, and that's why like forever, like culturally, you know, spiritually, music has always been like. I mean, like as different methods of spirituality have developed, it's like you know, music of some sort has been linked to it because it's a totally integrated like expression as part of that. You know what I mean? That whatever that path is, I don't know. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, like it was like you have whether it's like gospel singing, monks chanting. You know what I mean? It's always like there's a music that's at the heart of that. But anyway, go back to the thing of like of changing what's fucked up or taking action, like more like whatever. Like in the 70s, you had like Marvin Gaye making records speaking on things like. You know, you can just cry because of how beautifully he speaks on it, and because of how truthful it was what he said. You know what I mean? You still listen to what's going on and just cry partly because of what he's saying is so true and our world is so fucked up, but the part just because how he's saying it and how he's singing it and what he's saying is so beautiful. So it's like how I don't know, like do we have that now type of, you know what I mean? Like I hate saying like to me I like always hate on people who are like, oh, music today isn't as good as it was then, but like how do we, you know, because there's shit on
people
the radio
didn't key in on
now.
things like that. That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like I was raised on Donnie. I was raised on Marvin. I was raised on Michael. I was raised on Stevie. And you're absolutely right. It's not only the sounds, the melodies, and the words. It's also the meaning that adds. You don't know what the word is, and then you don't know what the connotation is. You don't know if the word is the music and the connotation is life, or the word is life and the connotation is music. It just could work either way. And that's how we try to make music, man. And so it's like laced in every way, in every feeling, every aspect of it, every sense of it feels good. That's how you know you're gonna move a person. But just be on the lookout for this B-side that we got going out in Europe. It's called "Save the Babies," and it's gonna be featuring this girl who's like a big fucking pop star, a big. She's a black, like urban pop star, and the hook is save the world, save the babies, drop the debt. How hard is that? And it's gonna be crazy. Because everybody, you know, when you get a little bit of like airtime and you know you start feeling yourself and you know I bought this and I bought that. Well, the truth of the matter is, we have houses, we have cars, jewelry. I'm bored of it. I don't even wear that shit anymore. You know what? The biggest diamond I could ever have is the knowledge to know that like knowledge and life itself is a responsibility, and God warned us before Adam and Eve bit of the fruit. We didn't even have to deal. Like we were in a self a shit hello? We were in like a self maintained and self contained biome. And we didn't have to need or want for anything. But, you know, we were searching and struggling and, you know, the serpent was like, why be ignorant to other aspects and perspectives in existence? So once we did, then we were exposed to that. We knew what being cold was, and we knew what being naked was, and we knew about like all kinds of other shit that led to other things. I mean, life is constantly multiplying itself over and over into different situations and incidents and coincidences even. And now it's led to a point where it's like we forget the nature of why we're even here. This is God's movie, and you got to play your part. If you don't play your part, you don't make it to heaven. You don't get your Oscar. You actually get thrown off the set. So the best thing for you to do is know that life and knowledge in themselves are a responsibility. Don't get caught sleeping in your trailer when your name is called. That roll call, because like you'll fail. And that is honestly all I want to do. I have songs on the charts. I'm so thankful, so appreciative, and I'm content, but I'm not happy. Because at the end of the day, knowing that you can stand on a block, be at a stoplight, and see a bum leaning his head against the stoplight and a Bentley waiting for the stoplight, there's something wrong with that picture. Completely wrong with that picture. And you got politicians who act like they're fighting for this and they're fighting for that. But I bet you that politician won't go on that block where they know that bums frequent. You know why? Because he'll have to do something about it. And he knows that reporters will fucking follow up on it and show you his flaws. It's all a fucking game. Even though I do like Clinton. Honestly, I don't give a fuck what nobody say about him. Like, he's a human. He got head, but he's a human. He does that. You think all these other fucking politicians that you haven't heard weren't fucking around on their wives? Of course they were. Because that's life. Anything that's possible is gonna happen. That's just the way life is, man. Like, everything, and that's another thing too. The media will fucking go and do the dirty homework to find out shit like that. But what they don't tell you is that everybody has flaws. We all have flaws. We all have fucking skeletons. You know what I mean? Yeah, I squeezed my little cousin's butt when I was a friend. Well, I mean, when I was a little boy. You know, she had a big round butt. She's my cousin. Okay, you're gonna prosecute me? At the end of the day, we're all human. But people don't pay attention to that, and that's all we really want to do. Like, also, I know I'm talking you to death, but that's all we really want to do.
No, but it's also like those flaws are an essential part of like what you said, like how we're all playing this a role essentially. The problem is we get caught up in the illusion like we think we're actually like controlling that role. Where not really, we need to be controlling our actions because we need to like purify and like try and make those actions as positive as we can, so that like if everyone becomes like aware, like what you just said, like if you're on a block and you see a situation is obviously just wrong, you know what I mean? We all have to strive to fix that situation, but it's like so that awareness is a key. But ultimately, like we're just like playing like these roles, whatever. So
come here, man. Come here.
Come on.
I can never understand your sign language.
Yeah.
I was saying that we gotta cut a little short.
Okay.
We got other
What about
people.
it? Yeah, what about it?
do what
Cool.
you gotta do.
Thanks, Rob.
But you know what I mean? We get caught up like in what was I trying to say? In like thinking we control that instead of trying to like offer up like all those intentions, you know what I mean, and fixing those things, and then we become all judgmental also everybody else. Like, oh well, this person he's
That's another
no
thing
good.
too,
He's
man.
He's pure. He's not pure because he's done da-da-da.
We're not
Like,
peripherally bashing either.
We're all like caught up. You know what I mean? We're all guilty of all these like negative actions. You know what I mean? Well, we just it's just part of like the drama we gotta live out. You know, so it's like that's the worst. You know, I do it too. I get caught up in judging this. Oh, this person's whack. This person's doing bullshit. Whatever. But anyway. Right.
Good looking out.
We'll make a record. We'll change the world.
No, we are. Listen, we got a B-side called Save the Babies. Hey, Shay.
Hey man, I still grab my cousin's ass.
Alright.
I'm just kidding.
That's it. The truth comes out.
The truth came out. Fuck it.
It's like, that's one of those things you don't tell everyone.
No, I don't want to tell anyone that. I was just messing with him. I was like, hey man, I
need to-
still grab my cousin's ass, and he was like, yo.
I
I'm
need to
just
get.
fucking-
I need to get. See,
He's
I'm
got the same
still-
setup.
I'm
All right, Pharrell.
You guys listen for that B-side, man.
Oh, I will,
alright?
man, for sure.
Alright.
It's
Oh,
going
shit.
overseas, but I'm gonna get it over there to you, man. You
Do
gotta
they
tell me
have
what you
it?
think about
They
it.
have a version here.
Well, we're about to record it tonight.
Oh, you haven't made it yet.
Nah,
You haven't made it
Good
right.
luck.
she just
So that's
started
what, so you're
last
just
night.
in the lab all night tonight, like till 2 a.m.
Man, I don't give a fuck. I don't work past 11 o'clock. But this Save the Babies record is so important to me. I don't care if I leave at 8 in the morning.
Damn.
He knows. I know. Right?
That's right.
That's
You know,
it, man.
See,
Well, good luck
this-
to you, man.
This is
For
good
real.
though.
Good luck to
I've
you, man.
lost
Holler at me
many.
anytime, man.
All right,
I've
so
lost
that's
many
It's Tick, right?
thought
Yeah, man.
hours, Pharrell. I lost many thought hours about Phil Mark jeans.
really?
Oh, he called me up at dude. He called me up on my cell.
I actually I forgot to even
Dude,
tell
he
you
was
this
crazy.
in the
He
interview,
called me
like-
up out of the blue.
But like Chris Rock and I, like one time I don't know why we even got caught up in this, but like we just got like Rock and I got caught up in like dissecting the lyrics.
Yeah.
From the Jay-Z record, and we were just like, because we were kind of obsessed. We were like, okay, so because we were like first. When I first heard the record, like honestly, like his lyrics, I wasn't that into it. I was just like, oh, how many times are you gonna say bottle of Chris? How many times, you know what I mean? Like, but then when you listen to it a little deeper, it's actually really smart because he's kind of like what he's saying is like, that was like what Chris was talking about. He's like, you know, he's telling the truth. It's like I'll give you just enough. It's like I'll string you along, like just enough.
Yeah.
And then like,
My wife just want to hit me to it. She was like, "You hear what he said? Save the narrative. You saving it for marriage. You
Yeah.
know, keep it
keep
real."
it, yeah. You give it, you give it for the carrot. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But it's, you know what I mean? It's actually like when you first hear it though, you're just like, oh come on, you know, Jay-Z will have enough bottles of Chris. But then when
He's letting
you
you know.
really
He's
get
letting you know
into
the whole
like the
scenario.
verses, he actually breaks down these scenarios that are very true, like
So
true little
you can't front on that. you know?
scenario.
Hey, man.
Filth Mark.
All right.
Filth Mart. That's East 13th Street between Avenue A and B. And let me just give everybody the phone number because Filth Mart is the shit. These are my boys.
Filth Mark jeans. Take them off.
Exactly.
Those jeans are actually low waist cut jeans, short crotch, and every girl looks ridiculous in them. They make you love them even more. So I just want to tell everybody.
They make things for the women's. Do they make things for the men's or just the women's? Filth
Men's
Mark.
too. They're making men's jeans too. They need to hire me, man. I fucking love that store so much. 212-387-0650. And that's East 13th Street, between Avenues A and B in the Village. East Village.
East Village.
And it's the shit. It's the ultimate rock and roll store, if you want to call it that. Or it's just the ultimate, like, you know, real true suburban culture. Classic suburban culture store. You know what I mean? Where they got like pictures of the General Lee posters and hats like that and fucking old school t-shirts and old school sweatshirts and every other dope leather that you ever wanted from the 70s in mint condition. And then they manufacture their own jeans and their own clothes. And then you got to check out Agatha. You know her? Jory? Oh man, that's the you gotta it's a lot of shit going on.
Ice, Mike.
What is it? Agatha?
She makes
Ice?
she makes
She sells ice?
no.
You said jewelry.
Yeah, not ice though, like
Not ice.
like dope, like oxidized silver. Custom pieces though.
Wow, that's ill.
That's the ultimate rock culture there. So
So there we go. But
make
it's
sure you
good.
go.
Yeah, good looking out, man.
It's not a gang sign, it's the Star Trek sign. Let's pay attention. Be
Good
clear.
looking out, man.
Oh,
Cool, man.
Hey Mike, I want to shake your hand. Pleasure to meet you,
Oh,
Billy
cool.
Johnson.
Hey, Billy Johnson, what's on, Tick?
Yeah, Tick Billy Johnson.
What's up, man?
I'm Travis.
My man
Yeah,
Travis.
Travis.
Cool,
Oh,
man.
you're from Launch?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So
yeah,
we
you
have-
guys.
Yeah, check that record out and see if you like got the driving. You should probably. It's along the same lines.
The remixes, I think you'll feel too.
Yeah?
We got busy. We got like the MPC and the
Yeah, it's good.
That got crazy.
I got you.
Oh wow.
I just got the
Then and
MPC.
now video.
Okay. I kick it with C minus a lot, dude. So that's funny.
C minus is fucking cool.
Is he coming back up here soon, or are you going up to Friday night tonight? Friday night flavors?
I probably won't go tonight, but I would love to go.
I'll call Rob and shit. We'll hook up. See you, man.
All right,
For real, man.
That was
God
fun, man.
bless you, man. Take care.
Take it easy.
You too.
For real, man.
Just trying to cover as many bases as possible.
Later, Mike. We probably gap like 100 million times, but it's okay. It's all love.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
For real, man.
My dog, that. Call us, man.
Take care, man. We will, man. We'll holler at you, man.
You have his. You
Yeah, I have Rob's number and almost Cat's number. All right, man. Yeah, man. Take care. All right, Pharrell. Take care, man.
Later, chat.
Later, chat.
Hey, man.
Take care, man. You too. Where's your dog at?
So no wonder people are their opinions about politicians. It's just like they're busy spending actually probably billions of dollars just to get there, you know. So they're spending billions of dollars to be in a champagne room with the politicians to get their shit. Anyway, so I
She totally looks at me. But like, that's why we feel like, you know.
Yeah, I heard that government line in there.
They're like, all of it full of shit. Because it's like, as you said before, you know, the sponsors influence their opinions. They say one thing to the public, but they answer to the dollars.
Yeah.
So that's basically what that's about. I mean, the whole album is like many different directions. You here? You leaving? You leaving? Oh, you in another room? You in another room? Okay. So, I don't know, man. Like, the whole album, the name of the album is called In Search Of. And we just basically just did different kinds of like songs from like different eras. Songs that had a feel from different eras, like from we had one called Baby Doll that was like more like beach 60s Beatlesque, and then we had Lap Dance that had like an 80s feel. I mean Lap Dance had like a more like, you know, year 2000 feel, but and we had songs like Run to the Sun that had like an 80s feel. It's just, you know what I mean? It's just different kinds of music, like all blended in one. A lot of our influences just packed into one album. And it's basically, you know, it's groundbreaking in my opinion because it's everything that a thug would say, probably, the things that run through their minds, but just not presented in that way. Like we got a song called Provider, written about my homeboy that used to hustle and shit. He don't hustle no more. But it's a song that was written from the perspective of a guy that hustles and feels like the only thing he has in life is to sell drugs and, you know, make those drug runs. But it's something like country western. And the music is like sort of Johnny Cash's. Yeah,
For real?
Yeah, you gotta hear it.
Wow.
More like, you know what?
with beats behind them.
Yeah, with beats. But more like was that Bon Jovi that did that? No, that was Axl Rose. Dead or Alive?
Bon Jovi.
Bon Jovi.
Yeah.
It's that shit.
Bon Jovi.
But there is like a guitar in it, kind of sounds like country or something. But
And you played all the guitars on there? Cause you guys doing like you have a thing right now, sampling or whatever, or
no, we programmed it.
uh-huh.
Nothing was played live.
So you program it also, like you just call up a guitar sound.
Wow.
We'll program it like it's very strong. Play instruments.
And how do you do all your shit like in Pro Tools or
Sometimes
like you're using like chord tritons or like all different.
kind of a little bit of everything. You know, it's whatever we could use to get it down right then and there. No waste time. You know, just do it.
See, cause it's kind of like that was one of the things I wanted to like ask you all about. Was like it seems to me like it's like what you said. Like what was kind of interesting to me about like the Neptune sound is it's like there's people who do interesting things like on an underground level, but in a way to me it's like okay, as musicians, right, what we're all doing ultimately is we're communicating, right? We're making we're trying to communicate to people. So in a way, it's almost more interesting to me, like when there's people like y'all who are making something that's kind of like subversive, but it's communicating with a lot of people. Or like I look at it like a lot of times, like with the music, like my group's made, it's like, we're influenced by like so many different musics, right? That probably a lot of it, that music's never gotten its due.
Right.
You know what I mean? A lot of it didn't reach the audiences or whatever. These people were incredible. They should have reached it, but for whatever reason it didn't. But like in a way, like I almost feel good. Like sometimes we play that shit and I look out at the audience and like, oh, yeah, okay, at least through us, you know what I mean? It's somehow reaching it. So I don't know. The Neptunes anyway. Like it's just, to me, that's one of the things that's cool. Is like is that like, I guess my question is more to put in question form, like how do you think about that in terms of putting it all like
Together?
musically together, like
We don't.
making a track and making it hot, and is it gonna reach people? Are we being too out there? Are we? Is this too ill?
No,
for like,
no. Can I tell you? Right now, we have those discussions like right before we make something. I always find us saying like we gotta just push the limits and like do what we can. Now that we have like everyone's attention, let's just run with it. And if we fail, at least we know when we got our magic moment on stage, meaning amongst like the public's most focused attention, we did what we wanted to do at that moment. Now if it wins, that's cool. That means that we're like heroes. But at the end of the day, man, it's just about like going in there and just coming out with whatever makes you go crazy. When you go crazy in a good way or a bad way or a happy way or a sad way, then it's cool. That, I mean, you know what I'm saying? We never
So
really.
there's like no formula, just create, just going in there and whatever feels right.
Making
No.
a statement.
Yeah. And there's always a way to tone something down when it's too wild. Whether it's lyrically or melodically, there's always a way to do it.
yeah. I guess it's just like for me, what I always like. There's that weird thing like when you're sequencing a record or going through it, and then you have like those. It's kind of like on those moments, like you're sequencing the record, you think like, all right. The record, like you wanted to start with like one thing, and you realize, you know what, no one's gonna be able to hang in there. Or like, I almost don't know how to explain it. But you know what I mean? Like you're sequencing the record, and it's like, oh, this is we either have to move that a little further back, or maybe like what you said, like tone it down, or like.
No, that totally happens. That totally happens.
But to me, it's also like, I mean, that's why I was also curious to say, like, to ask you guys. It seems like we're, you know what I mean? Like so many people could look at like where music's at now, like. So many people are like, oh, hip hop is stagnant. So many people look at music and say negative things. Well, I don't actually necessarily like agree. Like I think there's shit happening, but at the same time, there's like it's hard because we've probably never been at a time now where like so many records come out. Period. It doesn't matter if it's hip hop, if it's R&B, if it's like alternative music, whatever. Like there's all these big, huge record companies putting out like so many records.
40 records a month.
But exactly, I can't even fathom how many records Virgin puts out, how many records like Columbia puts out, how many records Universal puts out.
Yeah.
But let alone like all the independents and like stuff happening on a more underground level. But like I said, there are things that are breaking through, and to me, like it just feels like now is the times like what you kind of mentioned in the other ones, like. It seems to me like more than ever, there's like DJs who are gonna be combining like different kinds of music. Like, I mean, like hearing you guys talk about like at the drive-in, really kind of, I was like, whoa, you know what I mean? That's like, that's like,
You know what it is? We grew up around that kind of shit. So, but people wouldn't know that because all they get to hear is shake your ass, something like that. Not knowing that, like, that's what we did. We met in 7th grade. In beginning band class.
I grew up in Virginia, in suburbia. I love.
Where in Virginia?
Virginia Beach.
Virginia Beach.
So like we met in concert band.
Where do you play in concert band?
Percussion.
I played saxophone, drum making stuff, but within that institution, there were like kids who listened to everything. So when we gathered around, we sat and played together as a band. On our free time, we had kids listening to rock, other kids banging on drums, playing hip hop. different types of shit was around us.
So like around what time was that? Year wise.
High school, 90, something like that.
It's true.
So 90, so it was kind of like after Criminal Minded.
What's that, man?
Yeah.
So it was kind of like after Criminal Minded.
Yeah. After Criminal Minded.
After
yeah.
Criminal. After.
No, I'm
Criminal,
gonna tell you when you guys first started
after-
out, License to Ill.
So that was like 87 though. So I mean, it's probably still going, but like.
No, I lived in Salem Village.
I still came out.
I lived in Salem Village, and we went to Kemp's Landing. That's probably like '88. Cause listen, I was skating there.
Yeah, back in the day, we would sit down and do a hip hop track, and we all like jump on a skateboard and I'll jump on a freestyle bike. And we just fuck around and we end up a court, doing some shit, and get back in the house and start making beats. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like do whatever.
And how do you start? How do you add like a? How do you start when you first started making beats? What was like your first equipment? You
My
had just
first equipment-
turntables or just like pause tapes or just.
My first equipment was like a Casio SK5, a little sequential. I moved up to a sequential keyboard and a cheap Elisa's drum machine. Just make some shit out of that. 3-track. Then you have a 4-track.
So that was what, so 88. So then that would have been. I'm trying to think what was big in Virginia. Whistle was big in Virginia.
Oh shit.
Whistle was big. The Show.
Hey.
The Show had to be huge. I remember. Yeah, we played.
Lottie Dottie.
We
Let me say
played.
something. Lottie
We
Dottie.
played in Virginia with Dougie Fresh. It
Oh,
was
the fresh,
incredible.
the Fresh Fest.
It was like right after the Fresh Fest, and he was incredible. It was like when he had like Chillwell and Barry B. He had 2 DJs like on each side, and it was like
That was amazing, man.
Man,
I
if
didn't
you
get
guys-
to,
if you
let me
guys
just tell
come
you, I
back-
never got to
if
go
you
to
guys
none
come
of them
back
shows.
Be crazy.
It would be crazy.
You guys came back right now, man. Brass Monkey to this day, man.
To this day.
It's just like
To this day.
you probably,
That
that
and-
song is probably a joke.
That and
It brings everyone together.
Oh, reveal, boy.
Yeah, man, you guys' music brings everybody together, man.
yeah. But actually, one of our actually I still hear people test like car stereos and stuff to this day with Paul Revere like
They got to.
That's
That
crazy.
shit was
Yeah, I
crazy.
heard
Yeah.
That was crazy. That was
when I
crazy.
drive around.
That was crazy.
But actually, it was funny. Like people laughed at us. I remember, like to this day, we were in the studio. It was like 3 of us, and Run and D were there. Rick was supposed to come by, but he was like running late. He hadn't shown up yet at the studio. We were at this studio in New York that we called it New Fresh, but it's called Soundtracks. Like a place like here, like all these different rooms, whatever. And so we had this 808 beat that we programmed, and then MCA Franco says like, look, let's flip the tape over, so it's backwards.
Mhm.
And everyone looked at him like he was completely crazy. Like, you know what I mean? It's one of those things, like, everyone thought he was, like, nuts. But,
That's crazy. That beat was so bunky.
Yeah, because I used to spin it backwards to see what it sounded like.
Really?
forward.
I forgot how it went, man. I used to spin it backwards to hear the attack of the drum.
Yeah.
Damn.
Anyway, everyone thought we were crazy, but then when Run and D heard it backwards, then they, like, jumped up and down. And, like, at that point, they were still, like, we hadn't really done much, so they were kind of, like, our idols or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
we looked up to them musically, like, incredibly. So the fact that it just made them happy, we were like, whoa, you know what I mean? That kind of blew us away. Like, we actually made some shit that they were into. So then they were like, okay, we got to start writing this right here. And then Joe, like, hyper, like, grabbed out a pad. It's like, and we all just started writing it out.
That was an illest style, man. Y'all had the illest style.
But that's what I was gonna say. Oh, Virginia though was where that's what I had to say. Is that actually Virginia, we had one of our weirdest gigs ever. Like when Hold It Now came out, I guess for some like we had just hooked up with we just hooked up with Russell Simmons for like Rush to be our management, right? And like Hold It Now came out, just started to get like hot like a little bit, and like it mostly like kind of blew up like East Coast, like New York a little bit, but more than in New York, like in like Philly, DC, and Virginia, because I guess because it had like a little bit of that go-go like influence
Yeah,
in it, like how the beats
the drums.
programs like a little bit swing, a little guitar, you know what I mean? It has the swing, you know what I mean? It's like a little bit of a go-go bite, or swing like a little slap on the ass of the kick,
Your hand slap.
little slap.
And so Russell, like, first thing he's like, all right, I got you, 2 gigs in Virginia next weekend. We were like, oh, cool. We hook up. Russell's our manager already. We got like 2 shows. This must be, got good. Must be cool. And I feel like one was probably Virginia Beach or something. The other one was like in Newport News or something like that. Anyway, so we play one gig. It's just like whatever, not that many people show. Oh, and then that's right. We go first. We had no tour manager or anything. And Russell hooks us up with some guy named I forget, it was like Bill Piedmont or something. And it turns out like he's some a friend of Russell's, and Russell was doing him a favor because he just got out of jail. So this was kind of like his first job, like post jail, whatever. So that's cool. Everyone needs their thing or whatever. That's all good. We go down there, and then this guy picks us up. Seems real shady. Like puts us in some weird motel. That's when Dr. Dre from Yo MTV Raps was our DJ actually. Wow. And then anyway, so our second gig is at some ill roller rink in Newport News. We go up there. There's like as many people in this room or in that whole roller rink. There's like maybe 8 people there. That might be generous. It might only be 5.
Wow.
Right?
That's crazy.
Jay drops holding out. We all like come out like on stage. I remember like it was just a thing. Then like we all like threw down the mic stands, grabbed our mics, like yeah. And then the sound man got furious. Like he just lost it. He was like probably like 350, 400 pounds. This guy was huge. He comes running up on the stage to hit me, but then he's so big he steps on the stage and it's like a platform at the roller rink, and he steps on the stage and it sends the platform like this. It was like a cartoon, like no joke, like a cartoon. And the stage flips up, like kind of like knocks him back. So he like goes like he's going like trying to hit me like this, and he goes like that. So he's kind of like whoa. Like he goes like flying, but then the stage I was on like goes flying, so I have to like jump off, and then next thing I know, like I get up, like I kind of land on my ass and get up. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? And then next thing I look up, like then the guy the tour manager guy that was with us, Bill Piedmont or whatever, he's being like held back, but like he's like fighting everybody. I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. And then that was the end of the show. Like
that's when
that's
License
crazy.
to Ill was
That
that?
was
before like
Before,
it was like
okay.
Holding Out was just
Virginia. I was like, what? You'll see.
Holding Out was just out as a single.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So like, and people didn't even know who we were because it was like, it was just like a 12-inch.
Right.
It's kind of cool in a way because it was just like a 12-inch cover. So like, people didn't know if we were white kids, black kids. Like people had no conception like in their heads of like, oh, this group is like this, or they look like that, or they make this kind of music or that. I don't know. In a way, it was kind of cool like that.
No, it was.
Like no one knew. Well, anyway, sorry to go off on
man, it's
that.
all good, man. It's
So,
all good, man.
all right, so Virginia, so you're in high school, so Whistle's big, Nugget Fresh, probably Run DMC must have been.
Yeah. Run DMC was big. But you know what? Me and him was just talking about that the other day. That's my man Pusha. The other day, we was just thinking, man, what interrupted Run DMC's reign was Eric B for president.
Mm-hmm.
When that hit the scene.
So that was like the next record that. Criminal Minded though too, and maybe more for New York. Like I don't know if that like nationally did it.
No,
like,
Criminal Minded was crazy.
New York, it was like all of a sudden like Criminal Minds shifted it, like it all of a sudden shifted like it was like Run DMC was like Funhouse, Roxy, whatever. Then all of a sudden like
BDP.
Criminal Minded, BDP, Latin Quarters, and then that led into like Kane with Raw and like Bismarck.
Listen, man. Raw was one of the other songs for like 3 years straight.
Yeah, that horn, like that horn blasters. Yeah.
No, that was Marley Marl.
Yeah.
Marley Marl did that one.
Yeah.
I'm coming. Listen, when that shit came on in the party, niggas was still doing the Smurf. Remember that? Your man Rock was talking about that.
Yep. No, they do the Smurf.
No,
Yeah,
listen.
wow.
One of them said that in their rhyme.
That's the lot.
It was at Rock, right? They said he did the Smurf.
Yeah.
I got to the party and
Yeah,
I did the Smurf. I did a female from coast to coast and I got my feelings to his mom. I got to the man and I really went back down.
I seen girls from here to LA. Anyway.
That
But,
was
but yeah, then Raw. So yeah, I don't know, but yeah, no, Eric B, that was a turning point. But see, that's my thing with, but hip hop always like that's what, as like a fan, like having grown up on hip hop and in hip hop, like I always think it's cool how it like, there's always those seminal records that just switch the whole
the feel.
thing up. Then actually, in a way, like I remember like, it was weird because I remember like this moment like when 3 Feet High and Rising came out. But I remember actually we were here in this studio in Record Plant, we were working on Paul's Boutique.
In this particular.
In this, yeah, but it was like way small. It was only 2 rooms. Like there were 2 front rooms, and
You working on Paul's Boutique?
and we were working on Paul's Boutique.
Is that Hey Ladies?
And then 3 Feet High and Rising came out, and then we listened to it. And we were like bummed because we were like, damn, this is like everything we were trying to do or doing at that point. We felt like we had been scooped on almost, or like
No way.
someone had done it better in a way. Like we were like, oh man.
Man, y'all can still
And
make
then,
albums to this moment, man.
No, but so that came out, and then I remember like a little while after that, somehow like I happened to be walking over by where the Rush management offices were, and there was some weird sort of like I just ran into someone who just saw a friend of mine, and he was like, "Yo, it was weird. Joey and D from Run DMC just ran into Paz from De La Soul, and they like ran into each other on the street, and Joey like couldn't even like look at him, like it was like, because it was almost like it was like De La represented this whole other thing, you know, because it was like instead of gold chains, it was like, you know,
Peace
leather
and
medallions and
leather medallions.
peace and this whole other thing. So like that almost like ended the reign like a little bit. Like I guess it was a combination of things, but like the native tongues thing, you know what I mean? That was another question I had. Like I read in this one like interview I read with y'all online that you guys had a group with Timbaland.
Yeah.
In Virginia, or you were in Timbaland.
It was back when I was rhyming.
So that was like a native tongues like influence
Please, man.
group.
It was.
No, I'm just curious because to me it's like wild how like you can look at any scene, you know what I mean, and like there's like bands or musicians or whatever come out of it, but at different times they knew each other or worked together before they like blew up or went on to do other. You know, it's embarrassing. Because believe me, I know. I mean,
No. We had some dope songs.
Records.
We had some dope songs. Tim was making some hot beats. It was either be in that group and only be a rapper, or, you know, me and Chad remain a team and continue making beats, and I could rap at the same time. So, but
So that was after high school though. You know, but that was like.
was that? Yeah, that was like right after high school. It was kind of crazy.
So Timbaland's also from Virginia Beach, same school, like same school or just same area.
Yeah, he went. No, he didn't go to Kemp's Landing. I met him the year before at another school. But we didn't even. I didn't know him. I knew him then, but we like lost contact, and then we met again afterwards, like after high school. That was like junior high when me and him met. So.
And then what were you doing at that time? You were just working on beats on your.
Yeah.
So I was doing.
I was doing anything digital, man. I was like making hip hop beats to like house beats and whatever kind of beats you could beat on.
Wow.
Any type of shit, just tweaking whatever.
And then you guys hooked up together, and that's when you started doing. Like, how did you start as like the Neptunes sound? That was like through Teddy Riley, like, or you did stuff on your own, and you hooked up with Teddy, or what was?
Yeah, exactly. Like we were just making beats for fun, and just getting in talent shows just to get in. I don't know what the hell I was thinking, cause like Chad went to Kempsville, I went to PA, but those are the only talent shows we went, and we enrolled ourselves in. And I don't know why. I still to this day, I think to myself like, what made me
Chad
think
made
like,
beats and you
let's get in a
MC?
talent show?
Yeah, but you know, you don't know. So at the time, so it was like some real Star Search type shit, like real.
No, but we didn't know Teddy wasn't supposed to be there.
Uh-huh.
Like it was just a high school talent show.
High school talent show, just like that.
Yeah, but you know, like, and there were all kinds of bands there playing like I don't know, they were playing like U2 songs back then, and no, they were. And I don't know what we were thinking, man. We just was. I don't know, man. We just wanted to show that we were like talented. I guess that was it. Cause I really can't like define like what I was thinking. Like, why the hell would you join a talent show for what? Cause we weren't thinking. We clearly were not thinking about like getting on. Like we heard that Teddy was in town, but we never really thought that we would ever hook up with him. And then once he heard about us, we didn't directly get on there. Like we had a lot of people who would who tried to play like middleman to try and get us to him, and then it was every day it was like an ongoing adventurous task to try and get him to see us. There'd be times when we pull up, we'd be pulling off, but he'd be pulling into his studio and just knock on the door, can you come back another time? All that kind of crazy
hard
shit.
shit, man. Wow. So it's kind of like when you see like The Harder They Come. You ever see the Jim Cook movie and everyone's trying to like trying to like get like the big record company guy like they
We're literally trying to get our foot in the door, like literally.
Wow.
Like
Yeah,
in the door. Like,
in the door.
But like little trick or treaters and shit.
And all the engineers will chase us away. Why? You know, he's not here. He doesn't want to hear you. It's crazy. We were relentless. I did everything but put on a wig.
But we got in there. We did the talent show.
A lot of MCs put on wigs now.
I got
Look at Andre from Outkast.
So
MCs with wigs.
Yeah, but
yeah.
but you got to give it to Dre, man. I mean, that nigga is so creative, man. What he says and how he projects it just totally gives him the right to wear whatever.
Yep. Oh, definitely. I'm all behind him wearing the wig.
That nigga
Being an MC who also wears wigs. Not right now, but you know, I have. I'm behind him.
Oh, okay. Y'all wore wigs on stage?
No. Oh yeah, no, we have. But mostly like in the videos, like in the Sabotage video and stuff.
Oh yeah, man, that shit was the best. Now you don't understand, man. I don't know that there's any other group that has that much of a fusion that lasted so long. Like as I was saying earlier, man, and I think that's why I got clipped off, but y'all can come out with an album whenever you want to because your sound is your sound. It's like the Wu-Tang can do really whatever they want to do. There's no way to really judge it because, you know, they were the first to do what they did. Like, who's going to come up against? There were a lot of emulators and imitators when they were out, but the Wu-Tang is the Wu-Tang. They can just do whatever the fuck they want to do. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just, it's their shit. And that's why it's not just a black music. Like, there's probably more white fans than there are black fans. There's probably, just because,
but even like that was the thing when the 36 Chambers came out, it was like one of those albums where like it might have started more underground or whatever, but like it definitely reached that point where it was like, who knows who is listening to it, because it just had this, it's like what you're saying, like when we first were talking, it had that raw energy that's like, you can't, it goes beyond like intellectual like recognition or judgment. It's like, it transcends that, it becomes just a raw energy vibe. You know what I mean? Like it's, you know what I mean? Protect Your Neck, Wu-Tang Clan, ain't nothing, you know, all those tracks, there's just like,
yeah, man.
You know, even Cream was a little more like pop and that helped break it through, but all of them, you know what I mean? It was just like a energy thing where you just put it on loud and just.
Wu-Tang Clan is nothing to fuck with. I seen a lot of people get punched in the face. When that shit come in Virginia, I don't know about anywhere else, but in Virginia, this is all you gotta hear is.
And people would start.
Somebody get punched in the face right there. That is Shook Ones. When that shit comes on, man, is that not pandemonium in the club? This all you hear is. To all the killers in the $100.
Someone gets hit in the face.
It's always a fight.
Things jump off.
David Summers would be silent.
We haven't done that song yet. That just totally evokes and provokes total pandemonium in the club. There might be people might go off because they're ready to party and dance and shit. But we haven't done that song where it's just like
People started to get like that with Super Thug, but then when the vocal comes up with the girl vocal, it kind of sets it into a different direction.
True.
Yeah.
Some like real
Or
aggressive.
like one of the first tracks. I think one of the first tracks I probably heard, that was the Oh No, the Noriega.
Yeah.
One. Like that one's kind of, well, I guess it's a little more late, but I don't know.
No, it did. It had the
It's
energy.
kinda
It had the energy. You know what it is? Tommy
energy.
Boy fucked that up. Tommy Boy fucked that up.
Yeah, so Oh
Cause
No
that
was a hot.
Nah,
song.
yeah, definitely. We got a group called Clips that we have coming out. That's him now.
He's
That's him and his brother. Yeah, him and his brother. With the beats that we did on their album, that's probably gonna do what it is that we're expecting to do. You running out of tape or something?
Huh, not at all.
I didn't know.
I was just spacing off.
But
alright, so Possess, him and his brother.
him and his brother, Pusha T and Malice.
I know what's that thing about.
But you want him to
No,
tell
I'm just curious.
you? Okay.
Or
The name
unless
of
you don't want to.
No. It's all good. The name of their album was called Lord Willing, and that's sort of like what people say that Lord Willing, I'll stop hustling. Or Lord Willing, I'll get up today. I'll wake up tomorrow. Lord willing, my mother will make it. And it's just like a mini prayer / little statement of confidence in God and your faith. And so it's just like they're basically gonna tell about their lives and the things that they've seen, but it's basically the same tragic epic that you always hear about, but they're trying to just show moralistically why it doesn't work, but in a way where it sort of glorifies it, but at the end of the day, what's glorification in death or glorification in losing a friend who lost the game, you know what I mean? So it's like we're looking forward to that. Am I veering off in the wrong direction?
No, that's cool.
We're looking forward to that coming out, and we're looking forward to the N.E.R.D project coming out. As I said before, that's In Search Of. And the name of that title, we basically came up with that title because we wanted it to be, we're in search of something. Everybody's in search of something, and we hope that our album shows you where it is, whatever it is that you're looking for, and if it doesn't, we hope our album will point you in the right direction. And so In Search Of basically means to the listener what it means to that individual. It may mean something different to us.
Right.
So
That's cool.
Chad has an artist named Keller over at N.E.R.D that
Oh
he
yeah,
worked on his album.
I just heard like a couple songs.
Yeah, he met me there
last week. He was meeting with my manager.
Kenner's dope. He's dope.
Good kid, huh?
So that Kenner's project and the N.E.R.D project, they're both we're like not testing the waters. We're just like trying to be like big ripples in the ocean. They're like, because we have to interrupt what's going on. And you're right in a sense that like music is in a stagnance, but it's almost not. It's basically been this way.
So that's
all
I feel
throughout
that
time.
same way. Like
It does.
It's always
stuck,
easy to say like it's stagnant, and true. Look, there's times you can look at like '89 and be like, oh, there's so many incredible hip hop records that came out in '89. You know what? It's true. So like every month, right? There was some new exciting. You know what I mean? Like it's true. You know what I mean? You could probably look at all kinds of different people. Right? Look at jazz, and there'd be like a couple of years where boom, like all this stuff manifested, or rock and roll, like all this stuff, stuff manifested, like punk rock, all this stuff manifest. You know what I mean? There's like a couple, like a little manifesting, like explosion of like creativity. But that's why, like, I thought it was interesting what you just said about like your album, like, and even like what you said about God willing. Like to me, it's weird. Like I think like this is gonna be my tangent now. Like looking at like whatever the music is, like all these different music that we probably like. I mean, I'm kind of being bold in my assumption, but like. I know I listen to like whatever, everything from like, where Jimi Hendrix to John Coltrane to the Neptunes to Outkast to
That's big.
to sort of whatever, right? Yeah. But like the thing all of it has in common is like ultimately like it all
It's just stuff that like transcends. Like you can say this or that about it, but it's a feeling thing. Like
Yeah.
it's God willing. You know what I mean? None of these people could have made all this music. Like it's not really
Nah, it's
ultimately like
totally-
it's them doing it. It's
No,
ultimately
you're
they're
totally
being
right.
the instrument. You know what I mean? They're becoming the instrument. They're playing their instrument, but they're being the instrument for God in their own totally different ways. You know what I mean?
No,
Like
man, you're absolutely right.
so, it's like that's
Not a bold. That's not a bold statement at all. It's actually intelligent. And it's a rare opinion because a lot of people that say I'm this, I'm that. When I make beats, I do this, and I'm the shit, and I'm this, that, and the other. They don't understand that God is using you, and God uses all kinds of people in mysterious ways. Some ways you don't understand. Like when your friend dies, you don't understand why he is. But like, if maybe some child's seen something, and that child's gonna be like some great leader someday, and no one in that particular person that died, no one in that person's family may ever understand, could never even fathom why.
Yeah,
But
we
like,
can't. We try, but we can't.
No, but the truth of the matter is, yes, we are like, keys on God's piano. I just wrote that in a song the other day. Like, people need to understand that, like, listen, man, this is God's movie, and you have to play your part. And the minute that you deter from playing your part, you kind of get thrown off the set. You get cut.
Yep.
And ultimately, when you're an actor or actress, the key is to touch people. And when you touch people, you're crowned for it. You get your Oscar.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
But it's also like what you said. It's like, all right, we're all have these individual movies going on. This drama, right? For drama to work, if you're gonna watch a movie, you have to have like, you can't just have like all happy things happen the entire movie.
Totally.
Bad things have to happen. Illness, death, people getting killed, disease. You know what I mean? Like this is like the necessary part of like the drama. You know what I mean? It's not like fun or feel good. It's like it's all in there. That's like also like with death. Like I always feel the same thing. Like America to me is crazy about that with death. Like we need to charge up.
Yeah, I'm just switch battery.
Like we want to like remain in denial. Like, and we're all, we're all living and we're all dying.
Yeah.
And we don't want to. We're all happy to say we're like, how you living? Nobody's saying how you dying.
yeah. Definitely. I mean, that's basically the philosophy in our name. No one ever really dies. You feel like you transform, you take other forms. Like even Einstein said it before. Like I say it all the time, but Einstein said it like energy doesn't die. It just transforms. So we look at it like that's scientific proof that like your soul goes somewhere, whether it disperses or stays a unit and goes back to the Father, whatever it is that you believe. It's doing something. It's not just going somewhere else and you don't know where the hell it's going, or just disappearing from the face of existence. Period. Maybe from your presence, but it's gonna go somewhere. And then to address what you were saying earlier, or just to put my own adaptation on it. I think that like you can also hear this on music too. Is that like you cannot truly appreciate the sun unless you've been stuck in the rain before.
Yep.
So it's just like what I mean. You can always say like you said before, like everything can't be happy, but that's what makes life this mathematical brilliance of existence. Because appreciation is definitely like it's acquired. It's not something that you're born with and that you live and breathe every day. Because if you did, you would lose the you would lose the desire to appreciate anything. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when something bad happens, you appreciate it. That's why I believe that God made it so that like when someone dies, you know what I'm saying, another baby is born. It's like at the same time, your remorse is a reason to be happy because there's other things happening. You know what I mean? And when a baby is born, you can be happy that it's born, but you can also be sad that it's gonna have to live through this crazy ass life. There's two sides of everything, man. There's a yin and yang to everything.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And when someone dies, you can be sad that they're dead, but you can be happy that they don't have to suffer anymore. It's just like, man, this shit twists on and on and on. And all we do every day when we make music is try and further express it and veer off in all kind of directions to just address different issues, even shit that we don't agree with, even shit that I don't like, I don't fuck with, I don't get down with. It's just like, cause I don't hustle, but I understand that it goes on. You know what I mean? My friends happen to have been like, full-time partakers in that lifestyle. I don't condone it. It's not nothing that I glorify, but at the same time, it's like this is a very like, these people are like really, the audiences are like brats. Like, they're very pampered. Cause, when I was coming up, like, it wasn't really all about like videos and shit like that. And
not at all. It was like about getting the 12-inch. Oh, going to the record store, you saw that 12-inch on the wall.
And that was it. But now you have a video, the person's in a movie, it's everywhere, it's saturated. So what we have to do, not to fight it, but what we have to do, not even to counteract it either, but what we have to do to like promote like different kinds of like emotional awareness, we have to do things like lap dance. We have to show them titties and ass and shit like that. That's a dirty version. The clean version is just as suggestive, but not as, it's not as dirty. You know what I'm saying? But you got to do that so you get their attention. But meanwhile, like, they're singing a song subconsciously when they're like, doing dishes or like mopping the floor, or the guy's like cutting his father's grass, or he's washing his father's car. He's singing the lyrics and he's not realizing that I've already got him now. Like, he is saying, he is like mouthing back my lyrics of like how the government is kind of fucked up and you need to just take a new look at them. And politics is kind of fucked up, and we need to really like evaluate it, and you need to get more involved. They don't like, when MTV first gets this video, they're gonna do it because of the statistics, because we had hits on the charts. They're gonna play it. I don't give a fuck about that. Just play it, and then you'll realize when you read the script, when you read the lyrics and read what's actually being said, then they'll realize why they should put that behind Your Right to Vote commercial. They'll realize why that song is the best song for that. And that's what we get a kick out of. We get a kick out of when, it's like a weed brownie. And this is like one of my new little fucking examples too, because I ate a weed brownie and I fucking never realized what the hell it would do to you. But like, you eat it and it's like no big deal. It's sweet and you know what I mean? It's attractive. It's just like you eat it. But then an hour later, that shit kicks in and you see a whole different side. You know what I'm saying? You see a whole different side. And that's what our music is here to do. From N.E.R.D. on down to his project, Keller, on down to the rest of our projects with the clips, with my man Family, my man Roscoe, and Khalees. There's a lot of awareness on her first album. People just don't know. It's subliminally laced. But this album is even more laced with like, just great messages and just moralistic stories. And I just feel like that shit is important, man. And I'm not the kind of person that's going to be worried about, like, Steve Dolores Tucker, no beef. I'm not going to be worried about people like that, because I realized that she came up in a different generation when a message was presented in one way and one way only. They were also being chased with fucking big flashlights and fucking German shepherds that will bite you. So the way she sees shit and the way that a lot of, like, traditional Christians see things, I'm Christian, by the way, the way they see things is one way. And you can't fault them, because that was the mode of their mentality for when they came up and when they were like the fresh breeds. But we're the fresh breeds now, and my responsibility is not to tell your son not to smoke weed or sell coke. My responsibility is to show him what happens in a way that he'll get it. And these days, when you tell a person don't sell drugs, they're not getting a proper education in the hood, looking at me like I'm stupid. They're looking at like, what I pulled up in, or like the kind of shit that I wear in the videos, which is not extravagant, but it's obviously not poor. They're looking at that. So what we have to do is attract them to a sound and say things where they don't realize it's being said, and it just subconsciously embeds itself in that person. And the next thing you know, you got people who are just as fucking deep. I love Steely Dan, I love America, but you would never know it based off of the way people's mentality and the way this industry runs. You would just never know what kind of music, we like and our influences. These people just think, oh, the Neptunes are dope, but really, honestly, this shit is just like they're leaves from the seeds of like great musicians, from Stevie Wonder, the Donny Hathaway, the fucking Earth, Wind and Fire, the fucking Steely Dan, America, the fucking Moody Blues, fucking. The list goes on and on and on,
Yeah,
man.
no, definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
No,
So
but then it's all different. But see, it's like all different music, but it's also all one. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I mean, whatever the it's all different manifestation, but it's all like in this weird way. It's like those are those moments. You know what I mean? That somehow just like happen. Like, you know what I mean? All you can hope for, like with your albums, like you got enough moments, right? But you know, and then ultimately, it's like intention wise, like to me, all like, you know, like I can hope for is like, you know, it's right. You can't pass judgment on like you're doing this and that's fucked up. I mean, you can't. You know, there are things that
you can.
there you can because there's right from wrong, but it's like ultimately me, it's more like a lead by example kind of thing.
Right.
It's like,
But what if
okay,
here's
we're
my
open to this and we're-
perspective.
It's not like, oh, we're sacred because we're doing our actions of this, but it's just like, look, this is how I'm living. You know what I mean? Like, we're on this, and just by doing this, by making this, that's influencing people in that way.
No, it totally. You know what? That's the sad thing. It does, but you got to think like, what if that's the only thing that person knows? And what if they're reaching out for help? What if they feel like, you know what? What if they subconsciously don't realize it, but subconsciously they're reaching out for help? Honestly, I couldn't sit around and rap about the same shit all day if I was still rapping. I couldn't do it, and I'd just be a boring ass person to everybody because it's like, yo, I nigga rapping about the flowers and the birds and shit. But honestly, that's the music that I grew up to. Those are the metaphors that like you died off of. You love Michael. You know what I'm saying? You love those fucking those records that Rod Templeton and them were like writing for them. Those metaphors were incredible. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like you have no choice but to use those things as references. But at the same time, I just don't point my finger. Like Iverson went through so much shit for like saying everything he said on his record. But shit, have you ever really paid attention to the way he says that he grew up? If you really read it, maybe he's reaching out for help. Maybe all the money and all the Bentleys and all the jewelry and all the girls is not the only thing that he wants out of life. Maybe he wants somebody to speak to him or reach out to him and say, "Hey, I understand where you're coming from."
Right, but that's my point. Like he hasn't seen an alternative to it.
Right.
He doesn't have like, you know what I mean? So that's all there. You know what I mean? He's like, he's all of a sudden become he's got this incredible gift of being a ball player that's like done things that nobody before him ever done. And so millions of people want to get with him and get millions of dollars to wear shoes, be on a team, whatever, because he is incredible. And then it's like, it's a weird thing. It's like if he said the things like he said on his record, like in an interview, probably everyone would be probably a big deal. Like he probably would have gotten suspended, like for a game. You know what I mean? Like, well, who knows what they would have done? You know what I mean? Because they just don't want people like talking like that. You know, the league doesn't want. So it's just it's a confusing thing to me. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know. It's weird because it's like, on one hand, it's like you try not to judge, but on the other hand, it is a form of ignorance.
1 second, Mike. Hey, yo. Hey, can you call Mike for me, man? I mean, call Rob. He should be walking out.
Pardon.
Anyway, so.
No, it's not.
Alright, so you guys gotta probably like, do some work soon, man.
Yeah, but I want to get you a copy of the album.
Oh yeah, I gotta get that. And then
Hey, yo,
what?
is Brando here?
Nah, it's coming up.
How long?
It's coming?
It should be. It came by a message. It should be here like.
You got it?
Alright, yeah, that's cool. I'm fine. But actually, I wanted to ask like a totally off the hook, not off the hook, but like because it had some other, like it was on the N.E.R.D record. Like I read like how you were talking about it being guitarless rock, and then I was just kind of like, I don't know, for some reason that kind of like lit me up a little bit. Like I was like, okay, because to me that's one of the problems. Like again, we have is like we think like, okay, rock music is like guitar, and that's one thing, and then hip hop has to be this other thing. That's like some kid with like a DJ, DJ or a SP1200 or an MPC or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like we have these ideas of like everything has its different format and it's different tools, and it's like each thing is like has its own scope that it's limited to, and then like that's what I think is kind of wild to me. Like if you go into the like the music store now to get like a piece of equipment, you go to like Guitar Center, it's like they got all these guitars on a wall, but then like when we all grew up like going to music stores, also they never had like DJ equipment sections. Like now, like those same music stores that have guitars also sell Techniques 1200s and mixers and PAs and samplers and Akai MPCs and you know what I mean, like all the stuff that like they never had that like before.
Right.
So I mean, it's kind of wild. Like it's all becoming one. Yet it seems to me like we're still so slow in accepting that like we got like it's like BET's over there and you know what I mean, MTV's here and K-Rock is over here and Power is over there. It's like,
No, it's definitely. I heard the Radio 1 format is dope over in London.
Yeah.
Radio 1?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Hello?
BBC. Yeah, that's the tight shit right there.
Hello?
That's crazy though. But it's true.
Hello?
It's like, even production wise,
Hey, Michelle?
you get like the whole
Yeah.
production part of the thing, like kind of like reissues.
Okay.
Me and Mike were at a record store the other day. My friend
Okay.
His Beats was telling
So
me about
Terrence had it
oh,
on
man,
that.
all those beats like those kids search for like remember when we went to the record store at Aaron's and we saw like all those reissues of records?
Yeah, no, that was like I was just at Aaron's like right around the corner and they had like reissues of like
Where's
every
this?
album right on Highland.
On Highland, just like on
What's it
Highland.
called? Aaron's Records.
Aaron's
It's a
Records.
good record store. You should
That's
you should go there.
It's like right above Santa Monica.
Just
Okay.
so you just take Santa Monica up to Highland. It's like
Okay.
you could practically like walk there. But it was like crazy. They have like every like record that like I spent how it's like you probably did the same
Those
thing like
records that you
years
search for.
looking for, and it's like it's all right there, like sealed, boom, reissued,
Reissued.
and then like same thing with like equipment. I was thinking about that too, with like with gears. Like when we made like our Check Your Head album, it was like we went out, we were like, all right, fuck, we have to do something completely different. Pulse Boutique, we did all these samples, we gotta do some whole different shit. So we went and we purposely bought like all this old gear, like like Honer D6s and Korg organs and like all you know what I mean, like all this old stuff. But at the time, people didn't really value too much because people were like wanting some new shit. They didn't want the old shit. And then now, like everyone wants the old shit. But then now you can also buy like new equipment that has all like the sound, like any bank for your computer or your sampler or whatever. Keyboard will have like all those, B3 sound and have a Wurlitzer sound, like just so you can sound just like Donny Hathaway on The Ghetto, or you can sound like Stevie on with his Pianette, or you can sound like what I mean, whatever the sound is. It's like it's ill. So like I'm always like curious, like okay, where's this all gonna go? Like, cause for all like our generation, we spent like all this effort like digging and finding this sound or finding that sound or finding this music, and now it's like everything's available. It's like in a record store, on CD, in a music store, in like on Napster or whatever, whatever the hell it is. But like now it's like all more available. So I just wonder like, honestly, like what's gonna happen?
Honestly, man, I try not to pay attention to what's to the left and what's to the right. I mean, you're always gonna hear it. You're always gonna see it. Because what it is, man, the corporates have researchers. That's just the whole plan. Let's get researchers, and then what they do is they find out what people really want, and they go out and get it, and they make it available to everybody. And now, just like what my manager was saying, you got, everybody wants to manage a group now. Everybody wants to be a group now. Everybody wants to sing. Everybody can rap. Everybody make beats. Everybody samples. Everybody fucking. They just do everything.
It's true.
Everybody's just doing everything, and my whole thing is live. Do what you got to do. Because at the end of the day, when something sounds one way, you just gotta know. Me and Chad are on a fucking bike for two people, and we're making a U-turn, brother.
So you and Chad aren't mad at it, like just the fact that it's so like you see all that reissue stuff, and you're just like, fuck, I searched like 5 years for this record, or
No, you shit. You can appreciate it if you really want the record. You can appreciate it, but I'm just saying in general, not just reissued records and reissued equipment and equipment that has like those old school like replicated features. I'm saying in general, the shit is just everything is being made too accessible. Like at one time, I just looked at L.A. and no disrespect to anybody that lives in L.A., but I looked at L.A. and Vegas as hell because here Everything is at your fingertips if you have cash.
Yep.
And that to me, too much for man, too much at mankind's like fingertips is dangerous because knowledge is a responsibility. You know what I mean? Like when anything that you know, you gotta be you're responsible for because it's just like nuclear warfare, like all those like warheads and shit like that. If you have it, that's intelligence. You have to be responsible for anything that happens. And it's like people don't give a fuck because they realize they can sell accessibility. They can sell that and they don't give a fuck. So, you know, you have all kinds of, you know, everybody wants to be a politician. Everybody wants to be a rapper. Everybody wants to come out with their own shoes. Everybody wants to come out with their own clothes. Everybody wants to come out with everything. They're like 20 million gazillion lines. And you know what? I support all of it. Just do it because you really feel it. And I think in a minute that shit will die down. You know, you got all these girls eating pussy when they really don't want to. And it's cool for me. I like it. I like when they do it. But, hey, more for me. But at the same time, hey, no, listen, at the same time, man, at the end of the day, come on, man, like, you know, there's a shakedown and then all those that are really real, what they are, they're gonna be real. All the real musicians are gonna be there. All the real rappers are gonna be there. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, all the real is gonna be there. And that's not to say that like, you know, girls are gonna go down on each other. You know, I'm equating them to you know, real musicians or whack musicians. I'm just saying in general. The real, there'll be a minute, it's coming soon, and there'll be a real shakedown and the real will be around. Like my group Clips, they're gonna be around. N.E.R.D, we will be around. We are a product, not a real like functioning touring group. You know, MTV. N.E.R.D dates, Arkansas. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna see that because we're a product. We're selling a lifestyle. We're introducing people to a real lifestyle. And actually, we're not selling it. We're just actually selling familiarity. Do you feel like this? You do? Okay, cool. That's what we're selling. So you're buying just familiarity. The shit that you feel is the shit that we wrote about. The shit that you feel is the shit that we played. But the shit that you feel like is not being currently articulated, that is what N.E.R.D is presenting to people. It's okay to be smart and not necessarily be so cool and dig up your nose. I dig up my nose all the fucking time. And I don't give a fuck who is sitting there because it's my nose. But you know what? At the same time, I'm not ignorant. I have like great opinions. You know what I'm saying? It's just to say like you can be who you want to be and not necessarily have to always be scrutinized and judged. So that's kind of what we wanted to do with this album. We just sell like, you know, a cool mentality. Do what you want to do.
Because that's why I think like so much is out, like for all the stuff that's out there right now, there's so much where it's like, you know what, for me personally, like I can't listen to K-Rock and say, well, that speaks for me.
Right.
Or Power 106, yeah, there's songs I like on there, but that doesn't speak for me because that's only one little itty bit like part of what like I am or what I'm into, you know what I mean? So it's like ultimately what I'm into, you know what I mean? So it's like it's weird. It's like we're at this time and it was like, again, it's just like there's so many people I think out there who think that same way or just feel like, you know what, there's nothing really speaking for me.
Not fully speaking.
I'm telling you right now, man, I'm not trying to be like too cold about it or nothing like that or go too far, but I'm telling you, man, the Beastie Boys really speak for. Hey, can you answer this real quick?
I just hook up with
ODB. That's what I'm with ODB.
Everybody's
And how
intrigued by that story.
No, because it's just to me like like I said before, that was as a jam when that came out. I love the song, you know.
ODB was crazy.
That's like one of my favorite
That
records.
shit is ringing. He's just fucking over there snoring.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm just getting
I'm
ready.
asleep. I don't hear anything.
Oh yeah, I got like 4 minutes left. Yeah.
No, but that's like, you know what I mean? Like for a lot of people, definitely when that song came out, that was like, you know, for that summer, you were like, ooh, hey, baby, you know. That was like a hot thing, but it was also like this crazy combination of her and then him and then the track. So I was just curious about like how that was like.
How did it all come
Did
together?
you guys envision that, or it just kind of happened because you had already done her album, right?
We just, you know what it is, man? I'm telling you, we just love putting out infectious songs, man. That's all it is. And for whatever reason, for whatever brilliant reason, God lays before us great, like, musical personalities that totally fit whatever tracks we come up with. And that one was basically something that we just came up with. And we just thought, well, he'd be great for us. And at the time, Sylvia Rowan, the head of Elektra Records, called us like, you know, I need y'all to hook up with Jerry. I need a song. And so luckily we just had it at that time. You know?
So you'd already had the track with like the chorus,
No,
or you?
Well, we had it for him,
Uh-huh.
but you know, we didn't know whether we could ever get on his album. But she called. Wow. So it was like, you know, it was
So
just
you
very
already
ironic.
thought of him when you made the.
Yeah, we were gonna try to
track.
get to him.
Uh-huh.
You know how it is. You gotta call
Yeah.
through this person, to get this
Yeah.
person. Who knows
But
this
then
person.
also it was you only had like now when he was making his record, he only had like a crazy little amount of time to do his vocals, right? Because he was under all kinds of
Yeah,
legal constraints, right? So
he works in a bizarre fashion.
so he just came
Those
down
parts.
like he did the vocals with you, or he just even said you said on the track, or he.
No, we were right there.
Uh-huh.
He is quite an artist.
He would go
So-
in there and do like 2 lines, and then wait an hour, take a dinner break, go back in there, scream some more, and sometimes his lines didn't even make sense. But the way he said it, and the playful way that he said it,
Right, it was him.
it's just him.
So-
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
And then so it wasn't like he didn't like have it written down, like 2 lines that or he would just be like kind of
both, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He could do whatever if he had a piece of paper. That was good, but then sometimes I think he just, like one time he stopped and screamed at the sound man so that he could get in the booth, and then went up there and screamed something off the top of his head, something about, like the first line, oh baby, I want to lick the shit out your ass. He went in there and did that shit real quick. And then went back and sat down for like I record and take a break.
Oh yeah, you gotta do.
I know, man. And
It's all good, man.
she's here, but
Yeah.
It's all good.